When was the moment you realized that your best friend wasn't your best friend? This one's pretty wholesome. I'd have to say it's when he married his wife. I moved away for college and he stayed in state. He was still dating the woman who would later become his wife. We stayed in contact and everything, but distance is very hard for both of us. So staying in contact meant like a phone call every 4 months or so. I still think of him as my brother, and I was the best man at his wedding, and during the course of the wedding and reception, and especially the video by drone they took of the proposal, I realized he had made a new best friend, and now he was marrying her. They've been together for a little over a year now. When she told me my husband and I would make hideous babies because red-headed babies are the ugliest thing she has ever seen. She also locked me out of our hotel 4 hours from home with no way home at 3 a.m. that same day, after an argument over her saying my husband kills people for a living. He's a chemist who works on developing chemotherapy. That was the last time I've spoken to her, 4 years ago. Such a jealous woman. When she told me she doesn't like other girls except me cause she likes to be the prettiest girl in the room. When I got an internship at my dream job and she started to pull away more and more until 2 months went by and I realized she ignored most of my texts and Snapchats. After the internship I tried to contact her a few times thinking it was just a product of her being busy with graduation, me being in another state working crazy hours, but a mutual friend stepped in and told me she didn't want to be friends with me anymore. I considered her family. She decided I was very replaceable. It hurt a lot more considering we both used to bond over the fact that our childhoods were filled with best friends, dumping us for more popular people. While they were driving, everyone decided they wanted to party. No one had money, so they suggested they should call Varvatos, he always has money. I was sitting in the back seat. I was like, I'm right here and I'm not in the mood to party tonight. I was totally this guy, but with Tree. I was always hooked up and knew everyone in town that sold bud pretty much, so whenever a friend of mine had a drought they'd always come to me. But then these two fellas decided I'm always holding and that they could save a fortune just mooching off me. I'd be more than happy to sell a cut of whatever I was holding, but that's never what these two wanted. They just wanted to put their feet up at my place all afternoon and smoke my weed. Once I was at work and they texted me asking if I left my door unlocked for them. What? We live in a fucking shithole. No, my door's not fucking unlocked, not even when I'm home do I leave the deadbolt open. So naturally, the follow-up was if they could get my keys so they can hang out at my place. And asked where I keep my tree in the same message. Texted them a long tangent about how disrespectful they're being and all he could fucking say was chill the fuck out bro, it's not a big deal. Next time they came over I happily packed and lit my bong, and when the guy reached out for me to pass it over I just cocked a brow and took another rip. After I told him he ain't smoking if he can't match, and somehow that makes me the villain. They left early that day and stopped coming over after a couple more attempts at toking my hard-earned bud. When he ghosted me after I told him I had a tumor that ended up being cancerous. We graduated from high school and she went to college halfway across the world. When she came back to visit, when I tried to hang out with her she was always too busy. I later saw tons of pictures posted on Facebook with her and other girls having fun together. So that's what she was so busy with. Then at one point she told me that those girls had actually invited me to everything, but she convinced them I wouldn't be able to go. I would have been able to go. I left her alone after that. Edit, I see a lot of speculation in the comments, so I'll try to clear things up. These girls were all people I'd been going to school with since kindergarten or so. We all knew each other. I was on good terms with the other girls. The girl I'd been best friends with since first grade, so I felt loyal to her even though as we got older she got meaner. I've learned better since then. I have no idea why she said that, but when she said it, it was with no malice or shame or anything. Like she was just offhandedly stating a fact. I honestly can't figure out why. Maybe she really did think I was busy and it just came out really, really wrong. But it seems deliberate when you do that consistently for 2 to 3 weeks while everyone was back home. My best friend in high school did this. I found out she was telling people I was busy for things and to not bother inviting me. I was actually really lonely and would have loved to be invited. The last straw for me was when she invited me over for her birthday. She said she just wanted to spend the day with me, but then told me I had to leave at 2 o'clock for a family party. I was very close with her family and thought it was weird that I had to leave. Turns out she was having a bunch of people over for an actual birthday party and didn't want me there. To this day don't understand it, but it was very hurtful and I was done with her after that. I found out she was uploading my art to a bad art blog. I only found out because she sent me 2 paragraphs telling me I was a horrible friend anonymously on Tumblr. Then when I went to her crying over it wondering who it was, she said it was her and then blocked me. I thought I could still fix things, but then I found the bad art blog with my art on it, and found out she was talking shit about me to her other friends. I was only 15 and even though it's been years since it, I'm still fucked up by it in some ways. If you don't like someone, don't pretend to like them and make fun of them behind their backs. Just let them know you feel like you can't be friends anymore and distance yourself. Yeah, that will hurt in the short term, but it won't monumentally fuck over someone's entire psyche as being fake will. When I invited her to hang out with me at the nearby lake for my birthday, she said she would get back to me. She never did. Instead, she posted on her Snapchat story about how much fun she was having with her other friends. I stopped talking to her after that. This is how I lost all of my high school friends. They would constantly tell me they were so busy and they had no time to chill, but would always be on Snapchat having a great time with other, new friends. And it's like you never did anything wrong, they just completely lost interest in you for some reason. That and the people who very rarely text you back, but when you do finally see them they are glued to their phone texting other people the entire time. When we went out to eat and I offered her to pay, as usual, because she told me that she forgot her purse, she ordered loads of food and ate only half of it. After leaving, her shoelace was loose and she bent over to tie her shoe and a $100 bill was sticking out of her back pocket. She did this for 4 years and I never realized. Gave her another chance without saying a word. 3 days later I found out she was constantly using my Instagram to text my ex-boyfriend to end my current relationship. I think she never got slapped so hard. When I realized she only wanted to receive support and kindness, but never give it. She had a rough home life growing up and I always supported her through everything. I would drop what I was doing when she'd call me in tears to help her, then I had my own rough patch that left me in a depressive rut. She was always too busy with her hobbies, not even actual work or school, to even talk to me when I went seeking support. Would get angry when I sent simple "Are you free this weekend?" texts because it was too needy. This is also when I learned who my real best friend was because she saw what was happening, told off this so-called friend, and gave me all the support I needed. Best friends for a couple of years. We were in different classes. I wrote her a message that I'd be on my way to her. When I arrived she forgot to alt-tab the chat window with someone else making fun of me at the worst possible way. At that time she was my only friend. Was tough to have no friends after that for long time. This might not sound like a lot, but I think that scared me and I'm still struggling making friends. For years, my best friend had asked me every summer to go to this sleepaway summer camp in the Poconos with her, but my mother wouldn't ever let me go. The year she finally broke down and said I could go, my bestie and I spent weeks shopping and planning and talking about it nonstop. It was going to be glorious, the final summer before junior high. After her parents dropped us off, however, this bitch proceeded to flat out ignore me the entire 2 weeks we were there. She wouldn't even have a 2-minute conversation with me to tell me what I'd done. I was beyond miserable. All the other kids had been going there every summer and all knew each other, and here I was, basically alone in another state, pre-internet and cell phones, totally bewildered and upset because my best friend since kindergarten, and the only other person I knew there, wouldn't so much as look at me. I was miserable. When her parents came to pick us up, I didn't say a damn word the whole 2-hour trip home and never spoke to her again. To this day I have no idea why the fuck she acted like that, but I'm still a little pissed off. I've had this happen twice in my life. The first one lacked any defining moment. We had grown up together and been best friends for well over a decade, but after college he moved to another state so we never saw each other. Still talked every day and played video games together several times a week. But I noticed after a while that I was always the one to initiate conversations and ask for us to play games. So, I just got curious one day how long it would take for him to say hi for once or start a game. After 2 years of not talking with him I finally removed him from my friends list. In hindsight, I should have talked with him about things and why it hurt my feelings, but early 20s is still basically a kid. I lacked a lot of maturity. Second time was after my divorce. I moved in with my best friend at the time, a man who I called my brother. I was going through a lot, not just the divorce. Like having to apply for disability and my mom being terminally ill. Meanwhile, he had recently started taking testosterone and gotten married to a woman who insisted on traditional values, and him being the man of the house. Which all translated to him being an insensitive asshole who kept calling me lazy and accusing me of mooching off him, despite the fact that I was doing all the housework and had taken the initiative to reorganize both his books and his magic collection for him. He kicked me out after a month. For context, like 5 years before he had been really ill, hospitalized for weeks, and I moved in to take care of him when nobody else would, even giving the bastard sponge baths. I wiped his literal ass for him, and he couldn't handle the fact that some days my disabled ass had to skip doing dishes, and catch up when I felt better later. And he got my food stamps. I doubt I made his electric and water bills go up that much to get so pissy and accuse me of mooching.